Meeting of the Lowell License Commission. Secretary Wynn, was the meeting posted?
Yes.
Number one on the agenda, please.
The Commission will now review the minutes for our meeting of Thursday, May 7th, 2015.
Commissioner Krieger.
Yes, I had proposed three changes, which our Executive Secretary, Mr. Wynn, has incorporated in this version. And so I do understand there's another proposed version floating around. I think we should address that, but I will be proposing the Wynn version.
We have a motion to accept the minutes, the amended minutes, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number two, please.
Now, the Commission will take up matters to do with special one-day licenses to sell, dispense malt beverages and wine only, or either one. Our first applicant, Crystal Arnott, for the matter to do with a Boston Strong concert for dogs, Thursday, June 4th. It's my understanding she requests to withdraw that application. There is a second application filed by Crystal Arnott for another event scheduled, and that is for the event known as Come, Sip, Stay Beer and Wine Tasting on Friday, August 14th, 2015, from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Onyx Room at the Western Ave Studios at 122 Western Avenue. There is an application by Nancy Schiavone, Director of Development at UTEC, for the UTEC's Sweet 16 celebration, Tuesday, June 16th, 2015, from 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at UTEC at 35 Warren Street. Michael J. Lindsay, Mr. Tom Mulligan is here on his behalf for a fundraiser for a Cooperstown trip on Saturday, June 20th, 2015, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Shed Park Pavilion. George S. Zaharoulis, President of the Holy Trinity Hellenic Orthodox Church for a Greek Festival, Saturday, June 20th, 2015, from 12 noon to 10 p.m. at the enclosed outdoor area on Worther Street, adjacent to the Hellenic American Academy, 41 Broadway. Also, George Zaharoulis has an application for the second day of the festival on Sunday, June 21st, 12 noon to 9 p.m., also in an enclosed outdoor area on Worthen Street, adjacent to the Hellenic American Academy at 41 Broadway. We have applications for special one-day licenses to sell, dispense all alcoholic beverages filed by Jose Santos of the Holy Ghost Society at Holy Ghost Park, 65 Village Street, for the three following events: the Holy Trinity Feast, Saturday, May 30th, from 3 p.m. to 12:30 a.m. The second day of the Holy Trinity Feast is Sunday, May 31st, from 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. And last is the Brazilian Picnic for Sunday, June 14th, 2015, from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m.
Could I have all the applicants approach the lectern and state your name for the record, please?
Crystal Arnott from the Lowell Humane Society.
Hi, Crystal.
Nancy Scavone, UTEC.
Hi, Nancy.
George Zaharoulis, Hellenic Orthodox Church, Holy Trinity.
Mr. Zaharoulis, how are you?
Tom Mulligan for Mike Lindsay's request.
Mr. Mulligan, good evening.
Joe Santos.
Mr. Santos, thank you very much. Ms. Arnott, have you had one of these licenses before?
Yes, several
have.
times.
Okay, Ms. Schiavone, is it Schiavone? I apologize if I mispronounced. Have you held this license before? You have. I know Mr. Zaharoulis has. Mr. Mulligan has been here for at least 50 years, so I think he understands what he has to do. What's the wish of the body?
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McCarthy, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Everybody have a great event. Thank you.
For number 4 on the agenda is for License Commission ratification. The issuance of a special one-day licenses to malt beverage and wine only. 2 applications filed by Tracy Martino of Aramark. One was for an event at the Allen House at 2 Solomon Way, which was the senior barbecue on Tuesday, May 12th, 2015, 4:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That license was issued on May 11th, 2015. Also, Tracy had filed application for an event at the Saab Emerging Technologies and Innovation Center at 40 University Ave. the SPE Seminar Networking Reception on Thursday, May 14th, from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., issued on May the 11th. These two applications had been filed and requests for licenses after our last scheduled meeting, which was on May 7th. And due to the circumstances of the dates of the event and the fact that Ms. Martino has been an applicant on at least more than 12 times in this past 5 months, I was able to issue those licenses.
All right. Just state your name for the record, please.
Tracy Martino, Aramark.
Tracy, I hope you're not a salaried employee with Aramark, because you've been here so many times. You don't get paid by the hour, do you? Okay. Wish of the body.
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner McGovern, seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Commission will now take up applications for special events permits for amplification of sound for outdoor public entertainment, starting with Bethany Terriold of Jambra, that is the Jackson Appleton Middlesex Business and Residents Association. Michael Brader is the representative present here. Sound system for the Lowell Community Charter School performances, known as the Jamboree, for Wednesday, June 10th, 2015, from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at Jackson Street between Marston and Canal Streets. Ted Panagiotis of the Athenian Corner Restaurant, 207 Market Street, for sound system for musicians for the period June through September 2015 for the patio at 207 Market Street. Also, the Holy Trinity Hellenic Orthodox Church, George S. Zaroulis, president, for the Greek Festival, the DJ and live music at the enclosed outdoor area on Worthen Street, adjacent to the Hellenic American Academy at 41 Broadway, for 2 days, starting with Saturday, June 20th, from 12 noon to 10 p.m., and Sunday, June 21st, from 12 noon to 9 p.m. And last is Jose Santos for the Holy Ghost Society, representing for events scheduled at the Holy Ghost Park, the Holy Trinity Feast on Saturday, May 30th, from 3 p.m. to 12 midnight. Also, the Holy Trinity Feast for Sunday, May 31st, from 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. There is a Brazilian picnic on Sunday, June 14th, from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. And last is a Brazilian church fundraiser for Saturday, June 20th, from 3 p.m. to 12 midnight.
Could everybody approach the lectern and state your name for the record, please?
Michael Breeder from Jambra.
George Zaharoulis from the Hellenic Orthodox Church, Holy Trinity, Lowell.
Thank you.
Ted Panagiotis, Athenian Corner.
Joe Sanchez from Holy Ghost Park.
I believe everybody's had these licenses in the past, correct?
Yes.
Teddy, I don't remember ever calling you Panagiotis. It's the legal name, I get it. All right. Captain Kennedy, Holy Trinity Feast, got a couple of late ones here, 3 p.m. to 12 a.m. Any worries at all?
No, we just asked that the potential licensees be cognizant of the fact that, we want to be reasonable with the neighbors and so forth.
Thank you. Commissioner Krieger.
Yes, Mr. Santos, I noticed the Brazilian Church fundraiser has entertainment. Have you gotten a requested license for, one-time license for alcohol?
The priest doesn't want alcohol served that day.
Perfect, thank you.
Wish of the body. Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Good luck with all your events and the licenses. All right, thank you.
Number 6 on the immediate agenda is an application filed by the Polish-American Veterans of Lowell, Inc., the all-alcoholic beverage club licensee at 201 Coburn Street, for change of manager from the current manager Stephen G. Craig to Robert F. Jarrett of Pelham, New Hampshire.
Do you state your name for the record, sir?
Robert Jarretts of the Polish American Veterans.
How are we doing tonight, Mr. Jarrett?
Very good. And you, sir?
Very well, thank you. Duly nominated, elected commander. Mr. Jarrett, can you tell us about any past experience in the bar business?
Yes, 5-6 years ago, I was president of the Polish National Home Association in Lowell, and I was manager of record at that time and held a license in my name.
Any problems with that license?
None whatsoever.
None at all. And why is Mr. Craig moving on?
Mr. Craig is very ill and had to resign his post because he couldn't handle it any longer.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the board? Everything seems to be in line on the application.
Move approval.
Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McGovern. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good luck, Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you.
All right.
Commission will now open a public hearing on the application for alteration of licensed premises by the all alcoholic beverage package store licensee ASDK Ram Corporation, doing business as Ramos Package Store, Sanjay Patel, manager of record, for premises at 77 Branch Street. This is a public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
Members of the commission. My name is Joe Devlin. I'm an attorney from the DeMarcus Law Offices in Lynn, Massachusetts. With me is Sanjay Patel, who's the owner of ASDK Ram Corporation and also the manager of record. The company holds a license at 77 Branch Street, doing business as Ramos Package Store. If it pleases the chair, I can summarize the transaction before you.
Thank you.
As you know, or probably know, the property burned down last summer, was completely demolished. They have settled the insurance claim on the property and developed plans to build within the exact same footprint. There are some interior changes. The prior building had 10 apartments with one on the first floor of about 1,000 square feet. That's being eliminated. Most of it's being taken up with 2 bathrooms, 2 public bathrooms, ADA compliant public bathrooms for the business, plus a private bathroom for the business. But then servicing the upstairs, 9 apartments upstairs, is going to be 2 vestibules, one of which is going to contain a mailroom, an elevator, a circulation area around the elevator and the stairs, and then the stairs themselves up to the upstairs apartments. The architect, the building's old and the business is old, and the architect didn't have the prior plans of the business itself. He suspects that the retail sales area is increasing slightly, doesn't know the exact number, but most of that 1,000 square feet is being taken up by the other things that I've described. So essentially, it's the same interior business premises. There's the plans are going out to bid in the next, shortly, and they expect a winner back in the next 2 weeks, and then expect to start construction shortly thereafter. That's part of the winning bid, will be who can start the fastest as well. And then they expected about 6 months till completion. And then, of course, Sanjay said, or 8 months, whatever, but they're hoping for 6 months. The majority of the money is coming from Rockland Trust. They're loaning the $1.5 million, or if it's higher, 80% of the value of the building, which is what they expect. They expect the value of the building when completed to be greater than the $1.5 million.
Okay. Attorney Veloso. If I recollect correctly, is there an issue here with any legal issues here concerning this proposed structure being built again? Was there anything that was being held up? Maybe Secretary Nguyen can help me out. Was there something about rebuilding this over again?
Anything of that nature I may have been a discussion with the members of the city council.
Right.
On an issue regarding zoning, but I've heard nothing from Office of Developmental Services to suggest that what is being proposed would not be compliant presently with the zoning ordinance of the city's, and so I think
I think you are correct. It had to do with the city council, but I haven't heard anything further.
and I could also suggest to the board, and I'm sure Attorney Veloso can confirm or not if he wishes, but if whatever action you should take today, presumably it's favorable, just on that basis alone, I'm just going to state this. This can be revisited by the License Commission at a later date, so that, based on my understanding of state law, you can grant approval for premises to be erected, which you have before you now, and then subsequently, you can revisit the plan again, because it's possible that there may be some changes to the plan that you may need to approve at a later date. But I think this is, now I can't speak for the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission, but if any favorable action the board should take this evening, I would send proper notice to the Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission for their review. So I can't speak for the ABCC, but I know its licensing authority does have the means to review this again at a later date.
Attorney Veloso, do you want to expound upon that at all?
The Law Department is unaware of any issues currently with the reconstruction of the building. I can't speak to the City Council motion or anything pending in terms of zoning. I would agree with Secretary Nguyen that should the License Commission approve of the alteration of the premises, there are other aspects to the construction and or renovation of this establishment that would go beyond the License Commission. For example, if there are zoning that needs to be approved or building permits and the like. In the event that there are issues down the line with those applications or permits, then the matter can certainly be revisited by the License Commission.
Yep, okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I might be able to add some to it as well. I believe there was a city council discussion on this, and afterwards, my client met with the city planner, building inspector, and city manager. I just went to a town last night. City manager's office, and discussed the plans that are before you now, and they didn't have any problem with the matter going forward. The second thing is, Chapter 138 of the regulations, the case law, your approval is automatically conditioned upon following all the other rules and regulations of the city and the state, and you do not have to issue the license if, for instance, zoning is not complied with. They can't operate there either, so.
Right.
But certainly, it is understood that inherent to this approval, if the one that should be forthcoming, is conditioned upon approval, of all the other city departments.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that. Okay. It looks as though it's the same plan minus the one apartment, right?
Yes.
All right, so we're looking at the same thing. Nobody else on the board seems to have any other issues, so I think I'll let the other commissioners speak. Have any questions or comments at this time? No questions? Do I have a motion? Oh, first off, we've got to open up the public hearing, right? All right, at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is closed. What is the wish of the body? Move for approval by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Mr. Patel, wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you,
Fine,
Counsel.
Thank you.
So on the second side of your agenda, number 8, Commission will now open a public hearing on the application transfer of the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant license from corporation known as 280 Central, Inc., doing business as Ward 8, Paul Yates, President, to the corporation known as Thirsty First Tavern and Grill Corp., DBA Thirsty First Tavern and Grill, Christine Whitfelt, President, for premises at 276, 280 Central Street, 2 one-numbered doors and bulkhead. First floor is 2 rooms for lounge, 2 rooms for storage, cellar for storage, sidewalk cafe in front, fence enclosed. This is city property, and that's a matter for, at a later date, for action by the city manager. In any event, the licensed corporation, or the corporation applying for the transfer, it is requested that Bernadette Goose Brazil be approved as the manager of record for the Thirsty First Tavern and Grill Corp. And though it's not listed on the meeting agenda, it is, they have, Thirsty First has filed application for license for common vittler and also license for entertainment for live music, disc jockey, and jukebox.
You can approach the lectern, please. You state your name for the record, please.
Bernadette Goose Brazil?
And Ms. Brazil, you are applying as the manager of record, correct?
Correct.
Is Ms. Whitfeld here as well?
She is.
Could you approach the lectern, Ms. Whitfeld? Just state your name for the record, please.
Christine Woodfelt.
Okay. Everything seems to be fine here. My question would be, well, first, let me ask, Ms. Brazil, can you tell me a little something about your background?
I've been in the hospitality industry for 30 years. I've been working the bar and restaurant business for over 30 years, and have managed.
Great, thank you. Ms. Whitfeld,
Yes.
some of your experience as well, please?
I've been bartending in the area for the past 15 to 20 years. Also have experience managing places as well.
Okay. Secretary Wynn, everything looks fine with the application. My question to you is, if I'm not mistaken, we're still missing a certificate of good standing from Mr. Yates. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Ms. Whitfeld, Ms. Brazil, are we anticipating that certificate of good standing soon?
It's expected to be in next week.
Next week? Okay. Well, obviously, this board doesn't want to drag you back here again. I mean, like I said, unless Secretary Wynn, do you have any other problems with this application at this time?
No, everything else with respect to the applicant, Thirsty First, is, it looks good.
Okay, let's go through the preliminaries, then I'll ask the commissioners if they want any, ask any questions, but this is a public hearing. So at this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Anybody like to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Anybody like to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Questions, comments from the board? So I think what we might want to do, commissioners, is make the motion to approve, have Mr. Wynn obviously not send this to the ABCC until we have a certificate of good standing. At that point, I think we should be able to send the application into Boston.
I so move.
Moved by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ladies, good luck on your new venture.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. I'm all set, right? I got one. Oh.
Thank you, my friend.
Look at the second page.
Thank you.
Commission will now proceed with number 9 on our meeting agenda, starting with a series of hearings. This is for retail package store licensees, each charged with one count, the allegation of misconduct for violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 34, for the illegal retail sale of alcohol beverages to a person under the age of 21 years. These charges by the Superintendent of Police, William M. Taylor. This particular matter has to do with the Lowell Police having conducted a compliance check of licensed establishments in the city of Lowell. The first matter has to do with a licensee known as Lucky B, Inc., doing business as Pete's Golf. Pete Vodshizoglu, Sr. is the manager of record at 185 Woburn Street.
You state your name for the record, please.
Peter Voyatsoglu?
Peter, you are the manager of record, correct?
Yes.
Would you want to waive the reading of the complaint, or would you like the complaint read into the record?
No, I'll waive my right.
All right. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, what happened that night was, one employee got sick and, called out and called another employee. And what happened was that employees, couldn't get there in time, so thought they would call my stock boy to come ring the register until they got there. And in that time, the compliance check came through. The kid that was on the register was, he should have never been there. I never gave authorization to have him work, for the few hours that he did. We have a checkered past, and I know that. And I spent, many times the past 2 years, I've hired 3 new people, and every one of them that I've hired has passed every compliance check for the past 2 years. That night, it just it was the day before Easter, and for
The
whatever
person who
reason.
gave the stock boy authorization, is he a manager of yours, or is he just
No,
another
it
worker?
was the employee,
Yeah. Well, you
which
did
they
bring,
know.
you did bring up your checkered past, which is a bit alarming, to be quite frank. Secretary Wynn, so right now we have a 37-day license suspension held in abeyance?
Well, this is a matter of action of a license commission that took place at a meeting in June 20th, 2013. And at that time, Lucky B had been cited for approximately 5-6 matters to do with not being in compliance when the Lowell Police Department had been conducting an annual or periodic compliance check. So after a series of missteps by the licensee, employees not at least asking for an ID from the prospective customer, it was determined that the licensed package store should be suspended for 6 months, and 3 months of which of that suspension had been served in 2013 by the licensee, having lost the privilege of selling beer and wine as part of its retail operation. However, there was 3 additional months that were held in abeyance for a period of 2 years, and that abeyance, the 2-year period, is due to expire on June 20th, 2015. So at no time in 2014 did the License Commission receive any notice of violation by this licensee, and it's only in this recent past spring, current spring, that Lucky B, this one particular individual employee, again, maybe a new employee, obviously, apparently, didn't ask the question.
Commissioner McCarthy?
In 2013, was that the first time you had that violation?
In 2013?
Actually, they have one in 2010, 2011, 2012.
Okay, thank you.
2013 was the last.
And 2013 was the last, and that's when we have
Okay.
the suspension.
After that, my kind of dad kind of decided he was going to retire and kind of leave me to make. Before, I was the manager, kind of making half the decisions. He was still part of hiring stuff, firing.
On each of these violations, were there any of these employees happened to twice?
No.
No, just, Commissioner Krieger, anything to add?
Yes, before my time, but obviously our predecessor was very concerned about the direction of your organization, which seems to be doing okay. I would ask Captain Kennedy if, aside from this violation, if you've seen any other problems in the last 2 years.
No, Commissioner Krieger, these are the only violations that I am aware of. As the licensee stated, there has been a checkered past there, but it has been relatively quiet up until April 4th, 2015.
Commissioner McGovern, do you have any, I'm sorry, Commissioner Krieger, I didn't let you finish.
Yeah. I mean, my rule of thumb that I tell my friend at the 38 store is that you need to card your mother just to be sure.
Oh, yeah.
A strictness in this is very important, I think.
Absolutely. Oh, no, we have the check ID. I got the machine. I have it on my computer where when they scan it, it enters their date. You know, we have a couple different things that I put in there to combat this problem that I was having before. But
Right.
I think a lot of it was personnel before, and, you know, the people that I've hired are, you know, adults that,
What are you doing with this gentleman that made the mistake?
the stock boy, well, he may no longer be my stock boy, or I may not have a stock boy anymore because it won't give them an opportunity to maybe have this happen again, where they're gonna say, oh, you know, can you run the register for a few hours while I go here or go there?
There'll be no stocking of alcohol.
You know, I'll be doing the stocking again, that's what it would be.
I'm done.
Commissioner McGovern?
No, my
Okay.
question answered.
Though I do appreciate that the last year and, 9 months has been clean. And once again, I always seem to bring this up at meetings when we have people here. I mean, I think this board prides itself in being consistent. Though I do appreciate that for the last year and a half, business is going very well. You're doing well over there?
Oh, yeah.
All right. But I think something has to be done by this board and can't let this go by the wayside. If it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out, but now we're on to our 4th violation, 5th violation. How many days are left still in abeyance?
Well, it's
37?
It's 3 days, 3 months.
Months, right?
It's 90 days.
All right.
I'd like to,
Oh, go ahead, Commissioner.
let me take a whack at it, and then everyone else can,
Sure.
I don't think that this deserves bringing in the 3 months, but I do think that, that there needs to be part of that served as a warning to others, that they pay attention to this. So I would recommend we take 3 of the 30 days.
No additional days held in abeyance. His 30-day, his 3 months of abeyance ends June 20th, is that correct? So he'd be, right after those 3 days being served, he'd be clean. There's nothing else that would happen. Nothing be held in abeyance. You're good with that?
Yes,
Okay.
I am, because if he comes back here again, I think that we'll throw the book at him.
Okay. Commissioner McCarthy, thoughts, comments?
I'm sorry, just, Commissioner Krieger, are you making a motion?
Yeah, well, I haven't asked for a second yet. The motion is for 3 days.
3 days?
3 days served.
Serve 3 days.
All right. I haven't asked for a second yet, and I just want to make sure, and Commissioner McGovern and Commissioner McCarthy have a chance to speak upon it.
I guess I have a little bit of a concern with either, one, wiping it completely clean, or I would say if we went 5 days and then wiped it, I would be okay.
Okay?
You know, where this is now several times within a
His abeyance
fairly
will be over in 4 weeks.
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
Commissioner McCarthy, anything to add?
Yeah, I agree. This is, you've been here several times. I think 5 days suspension is good.
All right, let's act upon Commissioner Krieger's motion first. Commissioner Krieger's motion is for 3 days. Do I have a second? Hearing no second, I will ask on the amended motion for 5 days. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 3 ayes, 1 nay.
And the
5 days suspension.
And what is the nay? Commissioner Krieger?
Commissioner Krieger said nay. Did I misquote you? Commissioner Krieger, I apologize if I did.
No, actually, I was
Present?
just going to vote present.
All right.
but,
3 yeas and a present.
So it'll be a 5-day suspension, and that the balance of the days held in abeyance are to be clean, wiped away,
That's correct.
removed?
I will ask you, sir, do you plan on appealing this decision?
What's that?
Do you plan on appealing this decision?
No.
All right. Do you understand the break that we've given you?
Yes,
And
absolutely.
what Commissioner Krieger said, that if you do come back here next time, it probably wouldn't be pleasant?
Absolutely.
All right.
And I asked
The motion would be for 5 days, commencing next Friday, beginning next Friday. You'll be receiving a letter in the mail,
Okay,
all right? And then we'll start it next Friday for 5 days,
okay.
all right?
Yep, yes, sir.
Commissioners all good with that?
Fine.
Fine? Commissioner Krieger? Good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commission will now continue with a second scheduled hearing for a retail package store licensee with one count charge for the allegation of misconduct for, under Chapter 138, Section 34, illegal retail sale of alcohol beverages to a person under the age of 21 years of age, charged by the Superintendent of Police, William Taylor. This is also part of the Lowell Police Department compliance check. The licensee is Yashoda Corp., doing business as Economart. Samir P. Patel, the manager, at 1280 Lawrence Street.
State your name for the record, please.
Samir Patel.
Mr. Patel, good evening. Sir?
Good evening. Harash Patel.
All right, Harash. And you are?
I'm brother, family owned.
Okay, thank you very much. Would you like to waive the reading of the complaint, or would you like it read into the record?
Waived.
You like to waive it, okay. I guess I'll ask you, it's pretty straightforward here. Do you have any comments concerning this?
Nope. After we owned the business for 10 years. We had beer wine license for 5 years. And once we got this complaint, we got everyone certified again. And we do have the check receipt. ID?
Have you been in front of this board before?
No, never.
This is the first time?
Yep.
Secretary Nguyen, is that correct?
Yes.
It is. Captain Kennedy, any other problems with the establishment?
Not that I'm aware of, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Krieger,
No, it looks pretty straightforward.
Commissioner McCarthy,
No questions.
Commissioner McGovern?
Nothing.
All right, in the same vein of being consistent, I would make a motion that we suspend the license for 2 days, with those 2 days held in abeyance for 1 year.
Second that motion.
Seconded by Commissioner McCarthy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Gentlemen, just make sure the ship stays straight here, okay?
Yep.
All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, there is a third retail package store licensee known as L&M Liquors, Inc. The Leonia M. Medonka is the manager of record, 424 Chelmsford Street. The office received a request for continuance for the next scheduled meeting for June 11th. Ms. Medonka had been consulting a local attorney. The attorney was anticipating being able to represent the licensee, but asked on her behalf for a continuance to June 11th. It would just mean the commission ratification of that.
Let's make a motion to, at our next meeting, continue it.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll see them at our next meeting. Thank you.
A fourth retail package store licensee, Gennario D. Pereira and Son, Inc., doing business as Turcotte Liquors. Gennario D. Pereira, manager, 424 Lawrence Street. A request for continuance to June 25th, 2015. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Pereira is in the hospital presently. He's undergoing some treatment for an illness. It's quite serious. On his behalf, his family filed a request for continuance with the assumption being that his health will be favorable, that he could appear before the board to answer this complaint in 30 days' time. I can explain to the board after the meeting exactly what his concern is. It is quite serious, and it's understandable that he's not here tonight, for sure.
Thank you.
I move that we continue to the 25th.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner McGovern. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll see him in 30 days, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
June 25th.
Thank you.
Number 10 on the meeting agenda is a hearing on the allegation of misconduct as charged by William M. Taylor, the Superintendent of Police, for violation of License Commission Alcohol Beverage Regulation, Section 1.16, Manager's Responsibilities. The licensee is DCGR Inc., doing business as D&G All-Star Lounge. David Cruz, manager. The all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee for premises at 177 Merrimack Street.
Approach the lectern and state your name for the record, sir.
David Cruz.
Mr. Cruz, okay, so the complaint here is no notification to this board within 48 hours. I read your little narrative here, and Captain Kenny, what's going on at DJ All-Star Lounge? Fairly quiet over there at this point, or just that one incident, or?
But we have this one incident on file, Mr. Chairman, but, other than that, it's just, run-of-the-mine incidents, nothing that would be unexpected, but this, this obviously is problematic with it. There was a disturbance on the licensed premises and no subsequent report filed. So
Understood.
is a concern.
Mr. Cruz, how long have we been in business now?
I'm going on 5 years in October.
5 years. How's business?
Up and down.
Up and down?
Yep.
Yep. I have to agree with Captain Kennedy. I really haven't heard a lot of what's going on, anything bad on your end, so, were you aware of your responsibilities of sending a notice to Secretary Wynn within 48 hours?
I actually was aware, but, I have a full-time job also as well, other than managing the bar. And I just got, distracted, and, Ryan Wynn was very informative, and, to make sure that I do what I'm supposed to next time.
All right, the next time I ask you that question, you're gonna give me a better answer though, right? You're not too busy to be a responsible manager. I don't care, this board really doesn't care how many other things are going on in your life. We're caring about what this complaint is and how serious it could have been. And to inform this committee only helps you. It doesn't put you in any harm's way. But we need for you to be responsible, and if anything happens like that in your business, we need to know about it. Questions, comments from rest of the commissioners, please?
Yeah. Last week, we had some whinging about doing reports. I think that it was unfortunate. These reports are important to us. I have my opinion on what we should do. I'll wait for Mr. McCarthy.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Then I'll talk.
Well, there's no question you have a responsibility to notify us, and I think you're aware of that. I think you've been over there 5 years now without any incident, so I would make a motion that we place this on file.
Commissioner Krieger would like to say final remarks.
Yeah, I was going to do 3 days suspended, but place it on file is satisfactory with me. I mean, but the word has to get out to all the businesses. And notwithstanding what was said at our last meeting, just because the patron has passed the plane of the door does not mean that you don't have a responsibility as the manager to file a report within 48 hours. I second Mr. McCarthy.
Before you second it, if I could just remind the board, if I'm trying to be as consistent as we possibly can. At our last meeting, we had the Crown Lounge here, and it was his first offense. I think we gave a 2 days suspended with 2 days held in abeyance. I would ask this board to be consistent in that, not it has to be 2 days, but maybe 1 day, hold it in abeyance. I think placing on file means our next step would be hold something in abeyance. I mean, we're trying to be as thorough and consistent as possible. So, I mean, placing on file doesn't really put us in line with the other establishments that we've given suspensions with days held in abeyance. I would ask for an amended motion.
How you want to amend that, Mr. Chairman?
If we could have 1 day suspended with that 1 day held in abeyance for 1 year.
I'll second it. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner McCarthy, I appreciate that. Seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Cruz, there's a warning here for you. All right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you for reminding us.
Commission will now proceed with number 11 on the meeting agenda, starting with hearing on the allegations of misconduct as charged by William M. Taylor, Superintendent of Police, filed with the Lowell License Commission April 14th against the licensee Camilla LLC, doing business as Reservations, George A. Torres, manager, the all-alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 179 Central Street, for violation of Lowell License Commission Regulations 1.06, compliance with all laws and regulations. Regulation 1.16, manager's responsibilities. 4.02, hours of operation, the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission Regulation 2.04, 204, CMR 2.05, paragraph 2, and Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 41.
Good evening. State your name for the record, sir.
Good evening. My name is Michael Ford, the attorney representing Camilla. With me to my immediate left is George Torres, manager and owner. Also have, as it will become apparent, Mariano Centano is here, who's coming on as an assistant manager.
Attorney Ford, would you like the complaint read into the record, or would you like to waive the reading?
We'll waive that.
Thank you, sir. Floor is yours, sir.
Okay. We've read this. I would suggest new counsel, new advisor to Mr. Torres, and just want to really go into what's going to be happening at Camilla at Reservations, because we reviewed this with my client, gone over the issues raised in the regulations that you've put forth, and the allegations, and we're really here to present mitigation, what we're seeking to do moving forward to be responsible licensees. First and foremost, and we're in process, and this is part and parcel of Mr. Centano, who is coming on, revitalizing and revamping. It's still a draft. The menu, with respect to Ford, may I approach?
Please, thank you.
Thanks.
This is a draft menu. This is in process, so this is a prototype, if you will, although it is laminated. And what we're attempting to do in working with Mr. Centano, which I'll go into his credentials in a moment, is to revitalize the menu and trying to give the look and the feel of, and I'm quoting from the slogan, "Your ultimate classy Latin experience," trying to bring in the kebabs, the meat pies, the fritters, and in order to serve the public need, both from a CV standpoint, a common victual standpoint, and from the alcohol licensing. Number two, new assistant manager that's brought with me, Mr. Centano, will be coming on to assist Mr. Torres with training, concept, and food. Just very briefly, I know this is in the assistant manager capacity right now. 10 years of experience, Joe's American Bar and Grill, assistant manager and an expediter, working with food quality assurance to make sure that everything's coming out and done right and fulfills the standards of Joe's American Bar and Grill. We're hoping to bring that talent, that skill set to this premises. Number three, and obviously evident from the violation that was attached as Exhibit A, an employee role available at all times names, telephone numbers, all of the identification, so that's able to be presented to the officers at all times. Fourth, which brings us here, at cleanup, no one employees, when there is no alcohol consumption, no non-employees waiting for other employees on the premises. Closed means closed. Making sure, of course, Mr. Torres and Mr. Santano are TIPS certified to ensure that everybody on premises is TIPS certified. The other thing, also evident from this, from the police report, everyone, uniforms for all, uniform dress, which will be the black pants, black shirt for all security, to have identifying logos on their shirt. As far as the violation, to speak to it, it can't happen. And I've gone over that with Mr. Torres. I know Mr. Santano has gone over that with Mr. Torres. The only thing I can glean from the violation is, he does want to cooperate with the police, but it's got to have full cooperation at all times. I just want to speak a little bit to public need, because this is significant and understands what could happen here tonight. On public need, there is a public need for the hours 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. With respect to the clientele, Mr. Torres represents to me that you have situations where people are either working 2 jobs or the second shift, and that's when he would be providing the service and meeting the needs of the patrons that would frequent reservations. The effect of the rollback, we all know in this room what this would do. First off, it would curtail and actually do the opposite to the public need that he has to serve the community. But this would put reservations out of business, and you have his attention. Takes this serious. Obviously, family members in the hall tonight, and this is why putting this together for major changes to do right, fulfill the rules and regulations of this board, and Chapter 138. So with that, would ask that the commission, recognize these changes that want to be implemented. They're here to answer any of your questions, and we would strongly petition that you don't roll back the hours. Let them move forward, give the chance, and let them be the licensee that they can, that we think they can be.
Thank you, Attorney Ford. Appreciate it. Whose idea was it to bring Mr. Santana on?
With respect to this, Mr. Torres, and there's obviously been discussions. I am new to the situation, if you will, so not in going into the certain attorney conversations. It makes sense, and it was very necessary.
Has Mr. Santana ever been a manager of record?
I don't believe he's been a manager of record, but has served as an assistant manager for 10 years. But he is full manager, just assistant manager. So not a licensed manager as approved by the ABCC. But he is here to answer any of the questions that you would have.
Now, it looks as though you want to turn this into more of a restaurant. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure how many restaurants we have at 2 o'clock in the morning that are viable at that time. This board's concern, and it is a very large concern, is that Mr. Torres is here again, in front of this board, after numerous times of saying, I don't know how many times we can slap his hand. I'm scared. I won't go over there. I won't go there. I don't think anybody else on this board would go there right now. Especially knowing that the eyes of this city are upon you. And then we have the police department at 2 o'clock. I know Officer Lally is here to testify if that's the case. Why would you do that? Knowing that the eyes of the city are looking at you, and it doesn't make sense to me. it doesn't make me feel confident that we have a responsible manager managing that establishment. And I do appreciate your defense of your client, Mr. Ford, but this is getting scary over there, especially when we have gunshots from an alley. We have people playing pool downstairs. I don't believe has a common vicular license to have a pool table downstairs. He's not licensed for that. And we're drinking after 2 o'clock in the morning. How long ago was the last incident?
Mr. Chairman, this particular licensee had just completed a 30-day suspension of license in March.
So it begs the question. You're just coming off a 30-day suspension, and you pull this. It's beyond me. I'll have more questions, but I do want to yield the floor to my fellow commissioners. Commissioner Krieger?
Is Attorney Ford?
Yes.
I can remember back late last year, early this year, that we were suggesting that Mr. Torres hook himself up with someone who could help him to understand our culture here in the city and how we expect things to be done. I'm just sorry that you didn't show up 5 months ago. I mean, your presentation and your presence, the new assistant manager, give me hope that we may still pull this thing out, but like our chairman, I'm very concerned about this. And we need to understand that there is a change underway, that Mr. Torres understands that the rules, sometimes rigid, are the rules. And that this is a country that a little under 100 years ago banned liquor, and we brought it back, but we brought it back with rules. I yield to
Commissioner McCarthy.
I agree with the chairman. I think Mr. Torres has been in front of us numerous amount of times. He just get off a 30-day suspension. You'd think he'd be walking on ice to make sure everything was fine. And I don't think he understands the game. I really think that he doesn't understand the game. I'd rather think that he doesn't understand the game than just saying he wants to violate all these rules he's violated. I have a hard time reaching out here because we tried many, many times, and before you come on, Mr. Ford, and it's the reputation is bad there. It's a bad situation up there. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner McCarthy. Commissioner McGovern?
I think I'm more than concerned. I'm actually pretty much done at this point. I mean, it's just a blatant disregard for the regulations over and over and over again. And now, once again, here we are. You finished on the 20th, I think, of March, and 2 weeks later, they're back in the establishment. That's a major problem, and I'm not really sure how much more we can attempt to work with the establishment.
I feel confident speaking on behalf of the city manager and the city council that, once again, we're not here to put anybody out of business. We want the business. We need the business. The city wants to have the business, and make sure you strive. When you opened up your remarks today, Mr. Ford, and I saw Mr. Santana, I was actually hoping, and I mean no disrespect to Mr. Torres, I was hoping that you said that you were going to bring Mr. Santana forward as a new manager of record. I was just hoping that this was going to come along.
May I briefly speak?
Sure, you may.
It's not and I was going to say, I'm looking from a licensing standpoint, it was not something that we could do. I was brought on, it was a little over 2 weeks ago, to come in. He was referred to me so that I could help him and bring him back to do what he's going to do. But in those 2-week period of time, obviously can't bring him in for as a full licensed manager and to do the petition. A lot of our ideas in here, and not necessarily appropriate for him, but given everything that's gone on here, to get the feedback and just that type of feedback from this commission, that can be something that can be done. I mean, obviously, he went out, searched for this man, and bring him on as an assistant manager. If this is something that this commission would like to see, advice can be given and a petition can be filed.
I mean, you've heard Commissioner McCarthy, Commissioner McGovern, Commissioner Krieger. I think this commission has lost its patience with Mr. Torres. I think there's no more chances. I think that's been said over and over again. If I could for a minute, Officer Lally, could you approach the lectern for 1 second, please? And just state your name for the record, please.
Dave Lally, hello, please.
Thank you. When you got to the scene, officer, did Mr. Torres have any comment to you when you had said, it's past 2 o'clock and what's going on here, or?
He explained that it was a dead night and that there was not much business going on and that he was cooperative with me.
He was?
Yes.
All right. Did he understand that there was a 2 o'clock curfew, or he just said,
Yes, he did.
All right. Okay, thank you. Secretary Nguyen, does Mr. Torres have a license for pool table down in the basement?
No, he does not.
He does not. Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely, Attorney Veloso.
One thing to also note, I think, in this situation is the license that has been granted for reservations only allows for 81 patrons to be present on the first floor. So I certainly find it troubling that after hours that are statutorily mandated under state law, patrons were not on the first floor, but they were in the basement, which they're not authorized to be, that they were served alcohol, which is not authorized to be served in the basement, and they were engaging in a game of billiards, which is not authorized to be on the premises. I mean, these are blatant violations that are clearly defined, not only under our rules, but under state law and regulations. And I find it extremely troubling that, once again, Mr. Torres is back here before the License Commission, especially after a 30-day suspension over similar violations, similar failure to follow the rules and regulations that all licensed establishments are required to follow.
Give you, if you'd like to respond to that.
Very, very briefly, I think that would be counterproductive to go, at a typical discipline hearing, it might be appropriate time to, ask questions of the officers and point out different things and to raise defenses. That's what I would typically do. But even if I go ahead and do that and I make some, great points and everything, it doesn't undercut everything that you said after I spoke, and it's what happened. I mean, in the coming off of the 30 days, there's nothing that I can say with respect to that, other than the pool table's gone. And I briefly, when there was other testimony to be given, you will see a petition for a straight change of a licensed premises manager filed very shortly if you give another chance.
All right. Could I ask your permission to speak to your client for 1 minute?
Absolutely.
Mr. Torres, I guess the question I want to ask you is, coming off those 30 days and understanding that you've been in front of this board in my tenure here at least 3 times, what were you thinking that night at 2 o'clock with friends of yours drinking in your establishment? I need to understand what were you thinking that night?
Okay. Well, that night, the officer came in, I cooperated. I had practically around 4 people in the establishment. Out of the 4, they all work for me. And they're authorized to pick up mixed drinks, beers, everything and my storage is downstairs.
Mhm.
All my beers, we keep them downstairs, the empties, so we can recycle them for the next day.
I guess what I'm trying to get at with you, and I'm trying to be as specific as possible with you. What were you thinking that you were having your friends or your employees drinking after 2 o'clock in your bar?
They were not drinking. I don't allow that.
I don't want to open up Pandora's box here. I think I'm going to, and I don't want to go down that avenue, because
The two people were holding drinks in their hands. They were drinking. If you want me to say that, then
I just want to understand how you're thinking, and I'm
I haven't-
trying, I guess I'll take a line from Jerry Maguire. Help me, help you. You know what I mean? I just, like I said, I'm going to reiterate it, and we want business to strive in this city, and you're making it very difficult for you to do that. You're making our decision very difficult here. And once again, I will say it again, this board is trying to be as consistent as possible, and obviously, I know you read the papers and know what happened to an establishment that was here 2 weeks ago. You know, and you're going down that same avenue, Mr. Torres.
correct. I understand exactly what's going on, and I'm here to take responsibility for everything.
All right. Commissioner Creek, did you have something to add at that point? I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, Mr. Torres answered the question because I was wondering if this was employees. But the fact is that the rules say employees can't drink afterwards. There is no place for employees to go drink, and that's just the way it is. They have to do it on their day off. I'm sympathetic to Attorney Ford and his efforts here because, as you'll recall, we were trying to get the previous attorney to take some responsibility, and he did not. So the idea that we can bring this new gentleman up as the manager of record intrigues me. May I ask a question? Joe's American Grill where?
In Nashua, in the mall.
Nashua, okay.
Yeah, I worked there as well.
All right. I'm thinking.
Once again, Mr. Ford, the hours of operation at reservations are what?
It is till 2 a.m.
Yeah, I understand the days, though. He's not open 7 days a week.
The-
What days is he open?
On the, let me just, one moment. Your days are open. Monday through Sunday. They're doing they know they have to be open Monday through Sunday.
Oh, so they are open now
Yeah,
7 days a week?
Yes.
It was a 4-day, wasn't it, Captain Kennedy? Were they open 4 days
I
prior?
believe that was the case, Mr. Dakota.
Yeah, but they can't, and I've gone, they can't do that without petitioning, because they got to serve the public need, so,
Right.
of course.
I'm looking at the menu. It doesn't seem to be very expansive, it's very,
It is a draft.
Okay.
It is something, it's a major work in progress. It's something that they're working on, and would like to be able to show you when the next petition comes in to change the manager, a revised draft and a further build-out of the food offerings.
So, give me a timeline. I mean, I'm counting on you making Mr. Torres a successful American businessman with his new manager. But what's your timeline? 2 weeks? 3 weeks? How much are you asking us to hold our breath?
The plan was, in trying to get this done right, and this is, in doing this isn't to slap something together and say, okay, here it is, to really do it and make it work. So the original time frame to do it, because there's some equipment that has to be revamped and brought in. Mr. Torres represented to me a little earlier that the hopes was to do right at the July 4th launch. But to get a petition, well, the assistant manager, Mr. Santano, he's in now, but then to get an immediate petition, within the next week, so my office could do it, for a petition for change of manager. So to do this, what I would suggest is quickly.
Yeah, because I know you were retained 2 weeks ago, so, but there was no paper, you haven't started the paperwork at all and touch base with Ryan at all?
Have not, and that's not a, it should not be a reflection on Mr. Torres. When I was brought in, I was full coming off of a trial prep. And so in order to get him in there and get it go, we pride ourselves in doing it right, so we weren't able to accommodate him.
Does Mr. Santana foresee himself a part owner soon? And the reason why I'm asking, Mr. Ford, is I've lost all confidence in Mr. Torres at this point, and I'd feel better having somebody else at the helm, to be quite frank. I don't want to see the business go away, but I think this board is unanimous in their thinking that Mr. Torres is not a responsible manager. And I think that's been evident. But to lose another business in the city of Lowell, I mean, we don't want to see that. So if kind of Mr. Torres would say Mr. Santana's going to take the full ownership within the next 6 months, that type of thing, and I think I'd be open to something like that. But right now, looking at it, I don't see a future right now with Mr. Torres being at the helm of reservations.
It's a major, business change and financial change. It would require me as their counsel to.
If I'm not mistaken, I apologize for interrupting, Mr. Ford. If I'm correct, Secretary, when Mr. Torres, your mom, is this your mom?
Grandmother.
Grandmother.
And the mother
Mom
actually
owns it, right?
She,
Yes, the mother is the owner of the establishment. Has she been up here at all? She doesn't live around here, right?
No, she's ill.
She's ill. But she doesn't live in Massachusetts, though, correct? But she's the owner, and you're the manager of record. Okay. Does she understand what's been going on with your establishment?
Yes, she's the one that presented Mariano to me. Mariano worked with her when she opened up the business.
Okay. I'm trying, and I want to make sure I'm understanding this, that we're really kind of leaning more to a restaurant lounge, as it says up here.
Yes.
And that's going to be coming around shortly. So the whole perception of going in there and filling up on booze, and at 1:30, 2 o'clock, we go up on the sidewalk, that's not going to be what the new reservation is going to be all about, right?
correct.
Okay, that makes me a bit more optimistic. However, once again, this commission does pride itself in being quite consistent and delving out punishment that is wary of the complaint. I'll yield the floor to Commissioner Krieger for a second.
Is it possible for us to do sort of a mixed action here? I'd like to do a 2-day suspension, but continue the hearing on to our next meeting, 2 weeks hence, so that we can readdress some of these issues, including the manager. But because you're right, we need to be consistent. This is just wrong, and we need to send the signal to everybody. Otherwise, other people will think that we're a pushover, and I don't think we are. I don't know, can we do that sort of a mixed thing? Suspend for 2 days and continue the hearing?
I think I'd like to hear a little bit more about what this is all about, Mr. Ford. Right? It's kind of been put together a little bit, skimmily. I'd like to know exactly what reservations is going to be. Is Mr. Torres going to be part of the organization? Is Mr. Santana going to have more responsibilities? Is he going to be the next manager of record? These are questions that need to be answered. I would hope at our next meeting, a new manager of record would be brought forth. All right? I think that's step one. I think that needs to happen. All right? But in the meantime, we need to send a message here. But I think it's going to be a little less than what I thought I was going to do at the beginning. And I think I'm kind of leaning to Commissioner Krieger's You know, let's see what happens here in 2 weeks, and what's your long-range planning? What's reservations gonna be? You know? We need to totally change the perception of this bar. Is it gonna be a restaurant lounge, and it's, you know, we have good food and good drink, and everybody has a good time, or are we gonna be, you know, duking it out at 2 o'clock in the morning and bullets flying in the alley? That's a decision that you guys have to make, and it's a big decision, you know? We have a manager right now who's not responsible. This board does not want to see Mr. Torres as the manager of record, period. Plain and simple.
May I check I brought out my calendar, just check, because I think as you discuss about 2 weeks, may I just check to see?
You may.
Make sure I can be here. And would that be the 4th? I apologize.
Secretary Wynn, is our next meeting the 4th of June?
Is that 2 weeks?
No, it's, it will be June the 11th.
June the 11th.
Beg your indulgence, I know I have an extensive trial in Middlesex Superior, which is, it goes into the night for prep that week. So I didn't know is there any way to push beyond that, or even to get things in prior to the 11th? If I have to make it, I will, but it would be pressing me professionally.
All right.
I could try something else in this, have a petition in, perhaps a presentation, more of a concept plan in time for that 11th meeting.
This is what we're gonna do, all right? And I'll make a motion, and we'll see where this goes. We've already had a 30-day suspension. To be quite frank, and I'll be honest with you, I was going to make a motion for 90 days, which would have basically put you out of business. There's no question.
Yes.
All right? You can't make the next meeting, but you can make the meeting after that. Is that correct? That would be the 25th. Is that correct,
Yeah,
Secretary Wynn?
Meeting would be June 11th and June 25th.
Absolutely, June 25th, absolutely.
All right. Then I'm going to make a motion that we suspend the license till June 24th. Okay? That would actually entail we'd probably go with starting next Friday. So in fact, we're probably looking at 3 weeks. Would that be correct? How many days would that be, Secretary Wynn? Can somebody help me out with that?
Well, next Friday is May the 29th, so you're 24, 25. You're looking at 27 days, approximately.
27 days.
It would be devastating to the licensee, and I would hate for that to be a motion as a result of and I understand that you're kind of right, that to be a motion because of the trial that I have that week.
And I understand it, but to be quite frank, it wasn't going to be less than 30 days. We've already given him 30 days.
Understood.
It just doesn't make sense for us to go we're not going to say 2 or 3 days at this point. We're not sending the right message. And it definitely tells you that we're looking for a new manager of record. We may have a little room for discussion when it comes to the next public hearing that we're going to talk about public need. But at this point, unless the other commissioners have anything further, I would make that motion.
And what was that motion again, Mr. Chairman?
We'd be looking at a suspension of 27 days, beginning next Friday. I think this would also give, I understand what you're saying, Mr. Ford, that it would hurt you, but this would also give you the amount of time needed to show this commission that this is going to be a total turnaround, and this is what this establishment is going to be, a thriving establishment. Because I don't think you're going to need at least that time to show us that. You're going to have a manager of record anyway. And that manager of record has still got to go to the ABCC anyway for approval.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Obviously, Attorney Ford, you do have the option to appeal this. You know that.
I understand.
Okay. Next on the agenda, please.
Thank you, Officer Lally.
Attorney Ford?
Attorney Ford, we're not done.
We're
We
not,
we still have a public
we
hearing
have another
concerning
matter
public
to do
need.
with,
The next one, okay.
You may want to check your agenda. The agenda item is number 12.
Excuse me for 1 second. Attorney Ford, would you like to have a 2-minute recess with your client? I have no problem with that.
That would be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move we suspend the rules and, sorry. Mr. Chairman, I move we suspend the rules and reconsider the dates due to the Memorial Day weekend and our need to get the paperwork correct and the need of Attorney Ford to have time to conduct his responsibilities.
Can you give us, are you looking at probably June 5th then, Commissioner Krieger?
I think that would work for me.
Attorney Ford, we're going to bump that up a little bit, which in fact, we'll probably just put it into the 4th of July weekend anyway, which is fairly slow time for the bar industry anyway. So we're going to go June 5th right to, and add the 27 days from that time forward, which would bring us to, is that July 3rd?
Second.
It would be till Wednesday, July 1st.
All right.
So it would be from,
June 5th to July 1st.
we understand.
Thank you, sir. All right.
Okay.
I apologize, just a point of procedure. You're going to have another motion just to approve that change.
We suspended the rules, we voted to suspend the rules. Now Commissioner Krieger then made a motion to change the date to June 5th. That doesn't...
Oh, I understand, yeah.
Okay,
That will work.
does that suffice? Okay, thank you.
So we had a second on Commissioner Krieger's
Commissioner
motion
McCarthy.
to... McCarthy, okay, thank
Yeah.
you. And we have a second on Commissioner Krieger's...
Suspension of rules. I seconded the suspension of the rules.
Oh, okay, okay. And I trust the commissioners all set with that?
Yes.
Okay.
All A's. Nay, A's. Next on the agenda, please.
Number 12 on the agenda is a public hearing to consider the public need in accordance with Section 12 of Chapter 138 Mass General Law to decrease hours from 2 a.m. to 11 p.m. for the sales of alcohol beverages by the licensee Camilla LLC, doing business as Reservations for premises at 179 Central Street during the calendar week, Sunday to Saturday.
Once again, state your name for the record, sir.
Michael Ford, representing Camilla LLC, with me, George Torres, and then also Mariano Centano.
Thank you, Attorney Ford. I would just remind the board, and if you just indulge me for a second, that the commission should focus its questions and analysis toward public need issues such as, for example, the frequency with which police have been called to the establishment between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. in relation to other establishments, the expenditure of public monies for such calls in that time frame, and the specific public safety issues surrounding the calls between 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. The commission's consideration reducing operating hours is on the basis of public need. Should not be punishment towards a particular establishment. This is not disciplinary. This is for public need. Thank you. Attorney Ford, the floor is yours.
All right, with respect to public need, just go to Mass General Laws, Chapter 138, dealing with public need. The section of the statute says that all licenses should be issued with the looking at in order to serve the public need, to make sure there's an adequate number of licenses to serve the adequate number of beverages and the types, as this commission does know. We would strongly argue that there is absolutely a public need for these hours of operations. First and foremost on the public needs been represented by me with respect to this type of serving this clientele, and this is the only one that's open for those hours, and it's serving the need from 11 to 2 a.m. With respect to the clientele, Latin, Puerto Rican, Spanish, Colombian, in dealing with that community and that culture, you're dealing with situations where people are working 1 and 2 shifts in a row. This is when they're coming out. They're coming out late. This is the time to socialize, to get their food, to get their drink. You also have people who are just working the second shift because of the nature of the jobs. This is their opportunity to come out, and it's during those hours, these very hours of 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. To take that away, you're going to not fulfill Chapter 138 because a public need, an actual existing need, is not going to be met. Would also suggest, in picking up on what you said, that this is not to be for discipline. This is, as far as the atmospherics in the room is, there's been a 27-day suspension handed out. We've come here to show that we want to launch a new concept, new management. We heard what was said with respect to ownership. If this gets wiped out on the hours, you're essentially putting them out because they're serving a need that they will no longer be able to serve. They won't be able to do their concept. So strongly argue that there is a need. They are unique. They're the only ones serving this need. And with the new concept, the change of management, it will be done in a safe way and to promote the common good.
Thank you, Attorney Ford. Commissioner Krieger.
Yeah. Did you happen to bring with you some sort of a chart on how sales go from 3:30 in the afternoon up to 2 o'clock so that we can see in a graphic way the fact that they're serving a certain need within the community is there?
No, I don't have charts for you or sales records, but I can put on the testimony of Mr. Torres as to when the patrons appear and when the requests for services are made, if that's what you're looking for.
Yes, thank you.
All right, just briefly, Mr. Torres, would you state your name?
George Torres.
And there's been an inquiry made, could you speak with respect to the time frame that's been put before you from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m.? When you get the major amount of sales and how the sales break down from that 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. time period?
Okay. Yes, we're lucky to get a couple $100 worth of sales from 3 to 10. We get our biggest crowd that we come in is between 11 to 11:30. People do have two jobs, like Mr. Mike said, and Ford, and they need to get ready. So they get out around like 8. They need to get ready. They show up around the club around 10 to 11 o'clock. We'll be going out of business.
Hope that was responsive for what you were looking for, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Commissioner McCarthy.
Captain Kennedy, do you have anything to report on the number of times police have been called to the establishment?
We did prepare a report for this evening's meeting, Mr. McCarthy, and according to the records obtained from the Crime Analysis Division of the Lowell Police Department, 2012 through 2015, there have been a total of 115 police calls at that location for that time period.
Did you say 115?
115, sir, yes.
Can you break down those calls, Captain? Of what nature?
No, Mr. Chairman, they're not broken down. It's just a grand total of the amount of service calls that have required police presence in that, at that address.
And how many, I guess I don't want to get too deep into this, but are there cruisers been taken away from different sectors of the city during any of those calls?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as you know, we've had several instances in the not-too-distant past where many of the cruisers had to be taken out of the neighborhoods to respond to incidents at this address you're familiar with them, and, you know, as stated previously in this venue, when there is a call for service that requires something other than the average police response, in other words, something other than what the assigned crews to that district can handle, those resources, those police resources have to come from somewhere, and that somewhere is the neighborhoods.
Okay.
We don't have anywhere else to draw police personnel from other than adjoining neighborhoods.
Thank you, Captain. Commissioner McGovern.
I do have a concern. I know that part of this has to do with compliance with sanitary issues and things like that as well. I know that DPD had come before us in October, I believe, with regard to failed inspections and things like that, and this seems to have been an ongoing issue that was listed, and between sanitary code issues and safety code issues, so that also concerns me, along with the number of incidences that the officers have had to respond and pull from other sections of the city, leaving those sections very vulnerable.
If I may, Commissioner, on the point of health, safety, and fire code violations, I did reach out to Fire Prevention Services with the fire department. They indicated that reservations has been subject to a number of investigations by the fire department for a variety of fire code violations, specifically issues regarding their fire alarm system due to issues with their either not paying the phone bill or connections with the electronic systems. There have been numerous instances when Mammoth Fire Alarms, which maintains the fire alarm system in the city, would receive either no call or false call during their test signals, which would require fire inspectors to go on the premises and investigate it on several occasions. Additionally, the matter you refer to, October 9th, 2014, Department of Development Services did issue violation notices to reservations for several outstanding building code violations. Most concerning was obstructions to various areas of egress, emergency egress at the establishment in violation of 780 CMR. Additionally, the fire department has also had issues regarding emergency lighting and the like.
Those issues really are concerning because when you have patrons in those establishments that, you know, you're putting safety in jeopardy, and you're also putting first responders in jeopardy if they have to respond to a call in the establishment.
The situation is concerning, and I think that we need to consider rolling the hours back some distance, 11, 12, probably 11. But with a new manager of record, I think we have a reset button. So perhaps what we want to say is that between now and the new manager of record, because of our concern about untoward events between 11 and 2, that we might want to roll the hours back, and then with the new manager of record, clean slate, that we give reservations a shot.
I understand that, I know where you're going with that, and I think I'm agreeing with you. My concern here is you're gonna roll back the hours. Let's say we roll back the hours until, let's say, we get a new manager of record. But they're gonna be suspended for 27 days, or Attorney Ford is gonna appeal this. This is where it gets dicey, I think. So if we're looking at appeal, and then the ABC throws us down 3 months down the line, I think I have a problem with this. I understand what Commissioner Krieg is going, is that we want to give a new manager of record the full opportunity to succeed and get back to those 2 o'clock closing time. But once again, until that happens, We still have the same manager of record, and I'll tell you right now, the hours are getting rolled back. So, am I going too far with this, Attorney Veloso? I don't want to be out of bounds with Attorney Floyd.
I would suggest that because the issue is public need,
Yes.
you can't design a rollback in such a way that it would be temporary. The reduction in hours has to reflect whether or not the public is benefited by this establishment being open at the hours that it's listed.
You know what? That's a great point. So if we go back to Attorney Ford's comments that the Hispanic, Colombian, Latino population is served, but nobody else is served. Tell me if I'm going off track, Attorney Ford, but you're saying a certain clientele.
I think you're right. I think you're in the direction, but there's slightly.
You want to help me?
Yeah, absolutely. Just go on this, and I just want to say before heard everything that was said about the calls, the citations, and take that seriously. And that's what new management is brought in to do, to get the clean slate and do that. But unfortunately, because I'm an attorney and this is a public need, which is by Chapter 138 standards, there is a public need, and there isn't anything, I say this respectfully, to the contrary on public need. It sees that everything that's been presented is that there is a need between those hours. In the other column, there's the concern, these concerns that have been raised, but those are really raised in a disciplinary situation, and there's been significant discipline handed out here today in the form of 27 days, but they're also more importantly addressed with change of management, change of concept. And in order to roll that out, if the hours are rolled back, it crushes everything. As far as who they're serving, yes, that is the main that is the main clientele. I can't say that that's the sole clientele. The establishment is open for all citizens, all residents, everyone there.
I tell you what I think I'd like to do right now. I'd like to make a motion that we go in executive session concerning the topic of public need. Attorney Veloso, you have any problems with that?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a second? Actually,
Actually,
we need a roll call on that.
correction. My apologies, Mr. Chairman. If the License Commission wanted to go into executive session, it would have to be listed on the agenda. As the executive session has not been listed on the agenda, unfortunately, I don't believe the Commission is able to enter into executive session at this time. I apologize.
No, and you're right. No, you're absolutely right.
This is unfortunate. Well, while we're thinking, Attorney Veloso, is the safety and security of the rest of the community not a public need? Does the public need only go in one direction?
I would say no, Mr. Commissioner. I'd say that the public safety and well-being of the greater community would be important, especially given that these health and safety issues have been an issue for the establishment. They reflect the public safety of the community, and again, the public need and the public good.
Shouldn't we have received an official notification with regard to these other issues like fire? Didn't we deal with a fire issue here?
Yes,
just a few weeks ago.
Yes, the building
commissioner got a formal report.
Yes, the building commission did submit a formal report. In addition to that formal report, the fire department did send a representative to supplement that report.
I will use this word in a non-lawyerly way, but isn't that sort of hearsay to say that the fire department has an issue if we don't have a formal report?
Well, the report that DPD submitted was signed by a member of the fire department, and information was in that report regarding fire code violations.
And submitted to who?
I believe it was submitted to the License Commission, the report itself.
For reservations?
Yes.
Huh.
It was a October 15th, 2014 report.
Captain
I
Ken-
think one final note I would address is Attorney Ford indicated that in terms of the public need, this establishment is the only one from 11 to 2 that serves this particular clientele. I would just note that, I mean, if we look at a 1-mile radius around reservations, and basic account would say that there are at least 20 establishments in that 1-mile radius of reservations that serves alcohol or food or provides, services at potentially late hours. To provide an example, Ward 8, they are open Monday through Sunday. They serve till 2 o'clock. The Blue Shamrock serves until 2 o'clock.
DG All-Star.
Yes,
Hispanic
DG
clientele.
All-Star Lounge, they serve till 2 o'clock.
Yeah, but
Captain
Ward 8 just doesn't strike me as the
Right.
kind of place that your average Latino is frequently, at least when I've been there.
Captain Kennedy, can we, on the police logs, can we say how many calls came in from 1 to 2, 12 to 1, 11 to 12? Can we pinpoint that?
I believe that we can, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like to know how many calls from 1 to 2.
Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to do it at this exact moment. I apologize, but we can certainly make that request to the Crime Analysis Unit. They are very, very good at what they do. It's a very talented group of people, and I'm sure if you provide me something in writing exactly what the commission is seeking in terms of information, we can get that and would certainly provide it to the commission and to council in a
Because I'm
timely
going
fashion.
back to what Mr. Torres had brought up. He says he really only makes about $200 from 3:30 to 10, and then that's when his clientele. So that gives his clientele from 10:30 to 1, 2.5 hours of of drinking. If I'm not mistaken, the last times he's been here, I think something's happened between 1 and 2, or at closing at 2 o'clock.
And Mr. Chairman, without having the statistical data to support that point from personal experience, being the commanding officer of the downtown district for a number of years, typically when there are calls for disturbances in not only reservations but licensed premises in general, that call volume tends to be much higher from the hours from 1 to 2 a.m., and I certainly would invite council to weigh in on that as well. But in my experience as a police officer, that is typically the high volume call time of the day for licensed establishments.
Thank you.
I think what Captain Kennedy says rings true to me, but I'd like to see the data from Captain Kennedy. I'd like to see some hard data from reservations. Can we push this down to our next meeting and try and get some data and make this a data-based
The problem with that,
decision?
Commissioner Krieger, is Attorney Ford's not going to be here at our next meeting.
I'll be here on the follow-up,
Do you
the date that was.
have an assistant that can cover for you? Because we know what you've said. I think we've taken that in. We've hoisted that in. We're looking for some data to help us to make an intelligent decision.
If I may speak to that, and this is on the public need, respectfully, public need, I'm very familiar with the statute, the briefing, the supporting Mass Appellate Court cases on this, and I think there's two things going on here. First, let me make my legal argument. I think you have a total appeal. This is a total appealable issue. If we go down the path of is there public need and no public need, as defined by Chapter 138, it has a specific meaning in the statute. The case laws, the Ballerin case, I can't give you the site right now. A specific meaning. So right now you have the good intentions of the board. You have the public interest in mind, but it's not public need. So if you do this in the framework of public need, then we're forced to appeal. When this isn't what we're trying. This is what we're trying to do. We're trying to come here, reinvent, bring in the new management. they're going to, as you point out, they are going to be closed for that, those 27 days. So you're going to get that, and you're going to get the change of management and the proposal. And everything that's been presented to you, there's been nothing presented here that would show that there's a lack of public need at this particular address to serve this particular clientele. I know it's a legal argument, and we come in here with the record that I come in with, but from the legal standpoint, I would strongly urge the commission not to go down this route. It doesn't accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, and I'd ask for you to keep the hours as they are, and then you can address that first hearing, number 11, when we're back here in just about 4 weeks.
Okay. If the other commissioners have anything else further to say?
No.
Commissioner McCarthy? Commissioner McGovern? All right. Before I give my little spiel, Attorney Veloso, do you have anything to refute Attorney Ford's legal?
Well, my legal argument would be that I disagree with his contention that the commission's focus has been solely disciplinary in nature. I think there's been a concerted focus on, the public safety issues that have been raised with this establishment repeatedly. I think there's also an open question as to whether, this establishment truly serves a public need reflected, especially when, as I've indicated, there are multiple establishments in the city that operate within these, the time frame that is suggested. To that point, we can certainly agree to disagree regarding the legal standards. My position would be that the License Commission has placed appropriate focus on public need issues in this case. And I think a compelling argument can be made that reservations has not served a public need for the community, especially when there are so many other establishments within a 1-mile radius that operate and provide alternatives to the general public. But again, that is, my legal position and my legal argument.
Thank you. Staying on point, public need. I do agree with Attorney Veloso that we do have a clientele for our Hispanic population down the street on Merrimack Street. So I'm not sure if I agree with you on that, Attorney Ford. I appreciate putting forth that argument, but I'm not sure if it really carries any weight at this point. My worry is having the same manager of record. There is a safety concern, which is part of the public need, that worries me with Mr. Torres still being on board for as long as it takes for a manager of record to come through. Who knows what the ABCC and how long they take once we put forth something here on June 25th. And I want to give reservations, the new reservations, the full opportunity to thrive in the city once there's a new manager of record, and make sure they stay open till 2 o'clock. I want that to happen, and I'll make sure it happens. But I have reservations, sorry for the pun there, but about leaving this establishment open till 2 o'clock in the morning till a new manager of record is there. I have a deep concern. It's just the safety aspect with me right now, with what's happened in the past. I just feel that Mr. Torres doesn't think about his actions before. It's not responsible. It just comes down to responsibility. Safety. Is the neighborhood safety? Are we bringing in officers from other sectors of the city to protect that portion of Central Street? Well, we are. And we're doing it at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I'd like to see some data from the police department, Captain Kennedy, on June 25th for that meeting, that we're going to bring back and hopefully vote on a new manager of record. okay? I don't know what Mr. Ford's intentions are about a possible appeal with this or not. That's last complaint, so we won't go down that avenue. But public need and the safety, I think I'd like to see reservations brought down from 2 o'clock to 1 o'clock at this point, until we get further documentation from the police department and when these 115 calls were made from. I think that's a fair compromise, thinking that, you know, we could be going down to 11 o'clock, and I appreciate Attorney Ford's comments that that would just kill the business, but, you know, we want to make it hurt a little bit here. We really do, because nobody seems to be getting a lesson here, because we're back here again.
Okay, suggest just as far as procedure and whatnot, and you know what my argument is. I've put it on the record, I've put it before you. I know where I'm pretty confident on the public need aspect. If you were to go to do a rollback to 1, it sounds like you'd be voting for something temporary. If it was something that was permanent, would require further petitions by the licensee. So, well, and I know my client will strongly object, but to understand the reason why I'm putting this forward, suggests procedurally that if it was going to be the intention to do a motion to go to 1 a.m., that it was finite in time, so it could take into account the 25th, so it could be automatic. Because I think that if it was just done permanently, there'd have to be a petition.
Attorney Veloso, everything good with that?
I have no objection.
No? I think that's the road we want to take. Finite. But once that new manager of record, I'm not sure I can't tell you what the vote will be, but we'll
Yes.
definitely bring it forth for the board for reconsideration back to 2 a.m.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if
Captain
somebody from the
Kennedy.
commission, whomever that may be, perhaps Mr. Nguyen, can forward the request to me via email, so I have it. I will provide it to the folks from crime analysis, and again, get it to the commission and get it to council in a timely fashion, so that when the issue is ripe again for discussion, everybody can have the information at hand, and we can engage in a discussion that's beneficial to all parties concerned.
Sound good to you, Attorney Ford?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, are you going to make?
No, go right ahead.
I just wanted to ask clarification of whether it would be until the application is filed with us on the 25th or approval
It would
of the
be-
new manager of record.
So in fact, and great question, and just so we're all on the same page, just for clarification, if we're going to be bringing forth a new manager of record to vote on the 25th, I would imagine, and maybe Secretary Nguyen can help me, what has the ABCC timeline been on approving a manager of record applicant? Because it would still continue until we get that, so we could then re-vote at the next meeting following that.
May I address that on that? If you were to vote on the new manager and approve this gentleman, yes, it would take whatever amount of time that would take the ABCs to do it, depending upon the backlog, and that could also be the functional equivalent of putting them out of business. What I would suggest is, if you had a vote, he would be serving as an assistant manager, and not as a manager, but you would be getting the effect that you actually want. And I would suggest that to make this vote on the rollback to 1 to June 25th would be appropriate and addresses all of your concerns.
Well, it's June 25th, but you're still closed.
It's still close to it's the functional equivalent, yeah, of the July 1st.
So if we went back to what's the following meeting in July?
The board is scheduled to meet in the month of July on July 9th and on the 23rd.
And your suspension's till July 1st. So I think on June 25th, or right after that meeting, we can put on the agenda for July 9th, a reconsideration of the vote, if that's what the commission wants to do. But until then, it's 1 a.m., if this vote goes through. Okay? All right. I'll make a motion that that we reduce the hours for reservations from 2 AM to 1 AM until at least our July 9th meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye. I'd like a roll call, please.
Chairman Dakota?
Yes?
Commissioner Krieger? Yes. I'm sorry?
Yes.
Commissioner McCarthy?
Yes, but I have some reservations about it, but I will go along with it. I'll give it a shot.
Commissioner McGovern?
No.
Okay, so we have 3 yes for rollback from 2 AM to 1 AM, 1 no.
Attorney Ford, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen?
Mariano?
Santano, T-E-N-T-E-N-O.
We have one more, right?
T-E-N-O. So T-E-N-O.
They're just
Did you just add one to the list?
They're just
Yeah.
hearing schedule.
Thank you.
Do I need to make other copies? Because if he's gonna have the police stuff, he's gonna have that.
Number 13 on our agenda is a communication from the Superintendent of Police, William M. Taylor, dated May 6, 2015, regarding allegations of misconduct charged against the licensee known as Rivers Wild Inc., doing business as Jameson's, Shannon M. Kelly Barroso, manager, all alcoholic beverage restaurant licensee at 26 Andover Street for violation of Lowell License Commission Regulations 1.15, manager, 1.16, manager's responsibilities, and Mass General Law, Chapter 138, Section 63A, hindering an investigator. Commission may wish to schedule a matter of a hearing.
Then make a motion that we invite Ms. Kelly Barroso to our next meeting.
Second.
Second by Commissioner.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
Make a motion that they be here for our next scheduled meeting.
June
June
11th.
11th. Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Krieger. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And last is an application that's been filed by the corporation known as Uncharted Gallery and Studios LLC, Michael F. Daly Jr. Manager, for the malt beverages and wine only restaurant license for premises at 103 Market Street. Respectfully ask the Commission for ratification of a legal notice for publication in the local newspaper for Friday, May 29th, and a public hearing to be held on Thursday, June 11th at 6:30 p.m.
Motion by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McCarthy for a public hearing for June 11th. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Move to adjourn by Commissioner Krieger, seconded by Commissioner McGovern. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice night.